So that's the accuracy thing. Then there's the security thing, okay? So just think of, I'm doing this post right now, okay? So I'm typing this out for somebody, okay? And as I type, the system has noticed certain things, okay? So literally, I was just typing that, and it noticed, first of all, that I referred to Maria Fernandez, okay? And it knows that she's my friend. So you'll see the little icon pop up there. So as I was typing this, the system is telling Nick, who I'm sending my message to, that Maria Fernandez is in my FOF network. So she's somebody that I know, and I checked with her. And if Nick wants to, he can click on that link, and then again, you can have decided in your own organization, is it her IM details or her email details or whatever way, or in fact, she might have decided, which is my preferred method of communication. If somebody I don't know is going to be sending me a message or a question, how do I want that to happen? I might not want the phone to ring. I might want it to come through email, whatever. That would again be probably set by the user. But the system noticed as I was typing it that I know Maria Fernandez. The next thing it did was when I put in Chartsoft, this mythical software company, it knew that this was a company, and I didn't have to go and look for the URL and put it in there. It already knew that information, and it put it up there turned it green, so it's a link. So straight away, Nick can click on that and go straight to Chartsoft. So it saved me an awful lot of time when I'm making that note to have to go, are they chartsoft.com or chartsoftinc.com, whatever? Do I go, and this is what we all do at the moment, we all go and open the browser, we put it in, and then it comes up, so that's the one, great. And we make sure it's right because we want to, and we copy it out and then we go and put it in. And that takes a lot of time. Whereas if I just as you saw it being typed, it recognized Chartsoft as a company that we know or that the system knows. Let me make the link. And then the last one, and this is the one that I'm sort of most excited about, is I put in then the name of our project, code name, Jupiter, okay? So there's no way the system can know that am I referring to, the planet Jupiter? If it was based on Google would see this as being Jupiter, and I click on this link, and it would tell me all this information about the solar system, okay? But Jupiter is our code name for our new product, okay? So what we built into the system is some semantics, okay? So I'm not going to get hung up on this whole thing, but if you think about what does the word semantic mean, it means meaning, okay? So we've given this system some kind of semantic understanding about something about our business. So these are important. It's not everything about our business. We just teach it some important things about our business. And this would touch with your point. You have to do some work to make the system a bit more intelligent. But if you've done that work, and think about it as just like we've put together some structured lists of important information. And this is one of the things that they've done with the project within CA. So we've structured organization, but the people in the organization structure in our company, first of all, which you probably already have. And most of you, particularly if you're already using tools like LinkedIn, have probably got most of what you need for that, but there might be some work required. But you've basically got the information about the people in your organization. Then the next one is the one that people get confused about, a taxonomy, or the phrase that the researchers use is an ontology. Now, forget about that word ontology and just think about a taxonomy. Most of us kind of have a rough understanding of what a taxonomy is. We've certainly heard about folksonomies and tags and people adding the important information. So what you have is these are key terms that are important to my business. So just think if it was financial services, asset-backed securities, it would know these things will be defined. It would basically would have put together what are the key keywords in our industry, and probably then what are the keywords within our own organization. And once you've told the system that, then it can understand a little bit more about what you're typing in your post. So the in-house vocabulary for Jupiter, when the system sees the word Jupiter, it could probably say, well, this is either the solar planet in the solar system, or I noticed that this is a phrase that we use in-house it's a project code name. So it'll probably make the assessment that he's referring to the project code name. And then what can happen is, okay, how do you want me to handle this? Is this a phrase that has to be blocked, first of all? You are not allowed to post anything about Jupiter, and it just blocks it. Tells the user, says, so it's me, let's say, Johnny, you're not allowed to post about Jupiter, this, please just, we're not letting you go any further with this post. Or it might put in a review cycle. It might say, okay, Jupiter, that has to go through a review. It's got to go to the product manager of Jupiter and see, even if it's inside the firewall now. So, is this something that we're allowed to talk about within the organization? Or it may be as simple as when people type things, it's supported tagging. So it's saying, do you wish to tag this as project code name? Or in fact, you'll see this already on websites. It says, do you mean, if you put in a search sometimes, do you mean the planet in the solar system, or the project in your organization, and that would pop up to me before I hit OK, and I'd say, well, it's the project. And it probably doesn't need to do that many times, because whenever I talk about Jupiter, then it probably infer that, well, he's talking about the Jupiter project. But it's this kind of work that you put behind the scenes that enables the system to know a bit more about me, the user, but more importantly, when I'm typing something, is this important to the business? And we think this is the sort of direction that some of this security of data, the research in this area is going to go, is that the systems can support messages to the person who's making the post, probably just to flag them and say, are you sure you want to send this to your Facebook page? Because if sometimes people might do it by mistake, but more importantly, it'll say, this is something that we think you should post to this place, or how do you want to tag this information for other people? So again, I think it'll be an interesting debate to have before we finish is if you guys think this is going in the right direction, if you've done some work in this space, and what ideas you might have. And the last one is about measuring value. And we're talking about measuring value in informal content. So we've been looking at this, and obviously in an LMS, it tends to track how much time somebody spent in a course and what score they got. Now, if all we were tracking was how much time somebody spent in the wiki or the blog, that's probably pretty useless, because we don't know if they've actually found what they needed or solved their problem by looking at in the wiki or the blog. So we have to try find out some way of tracking the quality of that experience as well as the quantity. Now, it's easier if they contribute. So if I did post something and it was rated, then if it's rated highly by my peers, we can probably make a pretty good assessment that he's contributing there. That's good. First of all, people contributing is probably a good thing. But more importantly, he's contributed stuff that his peers have found very useful. So we'll give him a reasonably good score for that. So if we're sitting down doing the review, we'll say, okay, Johnny, you see you're using the informal tools we made available, and it appears that your colleagues really rate your contributions very highly. So that's great, and you'd encourage that kind of practice. One of the problems is that the stats from Wikipedia show that only 1% to 2% of the community or the audience tend to actually contribute. So the difficulty, and we haven't worked this one out yet, is how are we going to rate what people have found if they're just taking stuff from these informal environments rather than putting stuff up there? I think that's, measuring how long somebody spent in Google is not actually going to be very useful for any of us. So we definitely haven't cracked that one yet, but at least in terms of the contribution, we think that the ratings is going to play a very, very important part in that, particularly, again, ratings by people that you know. So, speaking of ratings, what we really wanted to do, kind of to bring the event to a close today, there's been a lot of information thrown at you. We probably didn't give you a huge amount of time to feed back to us in terms of, is this the right stuff for me? But this is the sort of the first event of this kind. But if there is a few key things that we want you to take away, and we want you to tell us if this is important, it is our belief, and it's not just us individually, that the key thing here is the 80%. So it's about informal learning. Think of Tony's slides, but think of my slides where the technology is supporting the people's hands to connect. That's where the key value is. How do we unlock that value in our organizations? That's critical for us all. We think the way to do that is going to be through context. So again, hopefully we've showed you some of the ways that we're trying to wrap the context around the formal content. But that formal content is still critical. And particularly most of the questions were about accuracy, security. That's all about quality of the content, which is good news for the companies, because content is a key part of their business too. So we believe that content is still very, very important in this process. But we want to measure it. And that's why we're focusing on this research and trying to see, can we take some steps towards, again, measuring what's good, where the quality is, what's relevant, what's appropriate to me. Some of that stuff may come out of the individuals themselves. It may be them saying, this was really good for me, I solved my problems quicker, et cetera, et cetera. And what we're hopefully going to show, or we've hopefully showed for you, is we're helping you to prepare for the barriers, those bumps on the road that are inevitable as we go on this journey. What we're doing is hopefully taking some of that money from the Irish government to look at some of the things that we think are important. We hope you'll share with us if they are important. If there's key things that we're not looking at, we talked about the next phase projects. So we really want to engage with you, whether it be today or in the informal communications after this event, to try and find out, have we delivered value to you today?